years now, and his team, and they do an incredible job of, they know all the people that are on the streets. They know the homeless people, the people with mental illness, the people that are just there hanging out. They know them. They have relationships with them. The reason we put the street outreach team in place 10, 11 years ago was so that we could get services to those people. And they're there every day trying to provide services to people. Sometimes people don't want those services. It's not necessarily a question of not giving them the services. They don't want them. They don't want recovery. They don't want to go into cots at night because you have to be sober to go in there. They don't want to see a psychiatrist. All that being said, I think we are doing a good job of giving people services in the downtown. Are our systems perfect? No, they are not. But I heard someone earlier talk about loving your neighbors, and I think that that actually speaks to that people, when they're in the public space, should be kind to each other. And the behavior issues that we're dealing with in the marketplace are people that are not being kind and respectful of everyone else that's down there using the space. I believe that our police department needs more tools to try to deal with some of the behavior issues. We don't want to throw people into the court system. We already know that our court system is overloaded, and there are budgetary issues related to that. So with this tool, we say, if you're going to act out, you can't come down here for a little while. Maybe it's only a few days. If you offend again, we'll make it a little bit longer. They can use the whole entire rest of the downtown. They can access services. They can come back as long as their behavior is such that they're being respectful and kind of other people on the street, of families, of children, of elderly people, of the folks that all need to be able to use this public space.
Thank you. Sir, I think you had your hand up before.
Yes. I'm Ken Lawless. I live in the Old North End. Every incorporated village and city has laws against disorderly conduct, against public intoxication, against assault, against menacing, which would include loud and vulgar shouting that people would feel threatened by. So the behavior that you say these ordinances will make illegal was illegal in Burlington and practically everywhere else in the industrial world before any of us were born. As for the panhandling law and not discriminating against the poor, how many wealthy people have you seen panhandle? Or do you imagine anyone? As for the trespass thing, 2 years ago I was sitting at the window place having a cup of coffee with my friend, and I looked out and I saw a couple of people come out of the downtown mall, and they walked up and they started to go into Old Navy and stopped. And they squatted. They didn't sit. Probably a man in white, but it could have been brother and sister. I don't know. But they were well-dressed and affluent. They weren't panhandlers. They were about to go shopping. Policeman went over and bent over and talked to them, and they talked to him, and he talked to them, and then he gave them a piece of paper. So I went over to him and I said, what did they give you? And he said, well, they said because it was our first offense, we only got a warning, but if we ever do it again, we'll get a trespass. These were shoppers who had just shopped in the downtown mall and were about to shop in Old Navy. But the policeman saw them squatting within the 9-foot area that they weren't supposed to be squatting, and went over and gave them a warning. He said if they ever did it again, they'd get a trespass ticket. If that helps the shoppers, bring shoppers, those people won't come back to the Church Street Mall. They'll be at the University Mall. Anyway, I'm opposed, obviously, to 4A and 4B. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, did you have something to say?
Sure, very, really quick. I didn't prepare anything formal.
Could you identify yourself?
Sorry,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
My name is Ariel Adelson. I'm from Ward 4. And like I said, I didn't prepare anything, so it's not going to be super eloquent. But I work, my second job is on Church Street, working for a corporation. And so I bear witness early in the morning and late at night to what goes on Church Street. And what I can say is that there's something fundamentally wrong already with the aggression that's shown towards people who are just trying to survive. They're subjects, they're reciprocants of the system that's constantly working towards keeping them down. There's this binary between the haves and the have-nots that's been talked about, and once you're in the have-nots, it's almost impossible to move up in our current economic system. And so then they're forced to do all these things, and yes, there's aggression and anger. You would be angry too if you couldn't find place to sleep at night. I live paycheck to paycheck without health insurance. I'm so angry. If I lose my job, I'm out there on that street. I mean, I have friends, so I'll be taken in, and it'll be nice, but that's this year. Who knows about next year, the year after that? And I'm educated, and I'm white, and I'm a woman, so chances are that I'm going to have a better way out, but that's not the case for everybody. And as somebody who's working on Church Street and who's seeing this, I'm so upset because I am catering to these affluent people, and yes, I have been attacked or being aggressed to by drunk people, but they weren't, drunk people who didn't have anywhere else to go. They were drunk people who were going to the bars and going out for a fancy meal, and then they came in and they started telling me about my breasts and the way that I was dressed in my own store. The people who we have to deal with, I mean, we're dealing with symptoms, we're not dealing with the causes, and we're not addressing what really needs to be addressed, is that the people who are angry and the people who are problematic are not just the poor and the people who have nowhere to go. It's a universal problem.
So I think that wraps up the public forum then. We're back to the beginning. So is there anybody in the back corner that wants to say anything? All right. All right. Well, thank you guys all very much for coming tonight and for sharing your thoughts. It's very helpful to us in addressing these issues, so thank you. So I'm going to close item number 2 on the agenda and move on to item number 3, which is the fire station consolidation, which is basically just a continued discussion from our last meeting. Is there anyone...
Mr. Chairman,